So as the attack surface has really grown dramatically, we are we're trending to really covering as much as we can the attack surface from a core business which is finding vulnerabilities. So we're coming from the core vulnerability risk-based management, and now we also covered the OT space a couple of years ago. Last year we covered the Active Directory, which is a very important piece inside, and also now we are covering it with a new technology regarding native cloud security posture management. So we try to cover as much as we can the entire attack surface within the Tenable capacity. So that's exactly what we are building. We have a double strategy. We have the best of breed strategy, which means exactly what I was just mentioned, covering many pieces, but we also want to bring everything together within the platform and being able to have analytics capacity, but mainly around the key risk indicators that each and single sensor is producing. We want to aggregate everything to be able to have a better view and helping security practitioners and CISO to take decisions regarding their vulnerability posture in the attack surface. Number one is the remote workers. That created something very unexpected. There were few remote workers, 3 years ago, like, sales guys or, road travelers. But now today, the majority of the employees are doing remote working. So that's one, because the home network is not secured. There is many vulnerabilities there. The second one is obviously, the cloud adoption, because we needed for helping them to do remote working to launch new cloud application. And the DevOps is super quick today. Then, sometimes we needed to deploy application in months or days, weeks or days. Now, the pressure that the developer has to put in place new application within the DevOps cycles, which are super quick, is giving us security practitioners a challenge, because we don't have time to scan. Then there is a new code which is overriding the existing application. So we have to, what we're calling shifting left, to looking and helping developers in their DevOps cycle to detect vulnerabilities in the code before they're putting the application in production. Yes, because attacks against critical infrastructures, and within the critical infrastructures, obviously, there are many organizations and companies which have not only IT but also OT systems are targeted today, because the attackers want to have access to very sensitive data, and sometimes they just want to lock down some plans or activities. So Tenable is, for the past 2 years, in this domain with the solutions called Tenable OT, but it's not, again, siloed. What is important is, in those systems, there is still IT, like databases or laptops that the industrial, employees are using, and IT and OT are merged together. So we have to have a converged approach, and that's exactly what Tenable is doing for the past 2 years, to be able to have one visibility in IT and OT together. So yes, you're right on the fact that those technologies are very different. PLCs or SCADA or ICS is a domain that, if you're not really expert in that domain, it could be quite challenging to understand. But at the end of the day, because now it is connected, we cannot having a siloed approach. They need to work together. So the team need to work together. The channel and the partners and the consultancy company now have to embrace IT and OT together. Those tools also need to be able to handle both of it. Now, we need experts, but they need to work together. No, I think the thing which is changing is just the risk is higher globally. Okay. What is important is not who attacked who. What is important is how, because the how didn't change. Okay, the way attackers are penetrating systems is still the same. They used, unpatched vulnerabilities which are there for sometimes months, sometimes even more. So yes, the current situation is just raising the risk higher. But globally, what is important is the fact that nothing has changed from a pure cyber way. Another element which is very important is, there is plenty of other attacks that are there. I mean, the lives continues in the attack space. Cyber criminals and others are still very active, so we don't have to underestimate that the risk is everywhere. We are engaged the same way. It depends on the position, it depends on the location, but their risk is roughly the same. I mean, being targeted by a ransomware, to shut down a hospital, because roughly today 45% of the attacks are ransomwares in EMEA. Make your infrastructure down the same way. So again, who is less important to how.